something that can drive by itself, can drive you from point A to point B without any instructions.
And they can choose the best route according to the passenger's destination based on the traffic information system.
My definition of an autonomous vehicle is a vehicle that can just drive by itself, like a self-driving vehicle, without any human controlling it. In the sense that the user can just sit back while the vehicle drives itself. In my opinion, it doesn't have to be fully autonomous for it to qualify as an autonomous vehicle. So for example, I think while others may disagree, I would say that Tesla is an autonomous vehicle because while it can be manually driven, it can also be semi to fully autonomous. A direct experience I've had with autonomous vehicles is through Teslas. I test drove one once, and I actually used the self-driving feature on the highway. It felt no different to me than like taking a bus. I just think that if I have a car, I should just drive it myself because that's part of the fun.
Well, my biggest concern about autonomous vehicles is that they may make us lose the fun of driving. If all of the people own autonomous vehicles, there may be no one driving manually on the road, or manually driving will not be allowed because it's more dangerous. So there will be no cars, SUVs, vans, just vehicles with different spaces inside. So I think that would be so sad for the people that love driving themselves. Yeah.
My biggest concern about autonomous vehicles is how not eco-friendly they are. Like I said, my experience with driving a Tesla was that I thought it was kind of useless since it was like sitting in a bus, except it could fit less people in it. We as a society progressed to a point where all of us, like the majority of the people, have autonomous vehicles, and I think it's no different than public transit, except that it contributes to a lot more pollution in the world. And I think, as with all technology that exists, I think that humans shouldn't rely too much on tech for everyday stuff.
The U.S. Society of Automotive Engineers, in short SAE, and the German Association of the Automotive Industry, VDA, have both classified the levels of autonomous driving. The general classifications are based on how much assistance do the vehicle need from the driver. Level 0, no driving automation. This is a traditional vehicle without any automated functionality. Level 1, driver assistance. The vehicle has one type of automated functionality, for example, braking automatically when encountering an obstacle. Many of our cars have involved Level 1 driver assistance. Level 2, partial driving automation. The vehicle can perform both braking and accelerating function as well as changing lanes function. However, the driver has to monitor the system all the time and be ready to take control whenever necessary. For example, all Tesla vehicles are officially considered Level 2 automation. Level 3, conditional driving automation. The driver does not need to monitor the system all the time. Under certain circumstances, the system can work autonomously. The system gives the driver time, for example 10 seconds or 20 seconds before handling back control. In 2018, the Audi A8 claimed to be the first car capable of Level 3 automation. Level 4, high driving automation. The vehicle can perform all driving functions under standard circumstances, meaning the driver is not required to take control under standard circumstances, but assistance is needed based on the weather condition or road conditions. Level 5, which is also the final level, full driving automation. The vehicle can perform all driving functions in all circumstances. The German classification, this is labeled as no driver condition, making the car completely autonomous. The benefits of autonomous vehicle has been identified as following. First, reduced accidents, reduced traffic congestions, reduced carbon dioxide emissions, increased lane capacity, lower fuel consumption, last mile services, transportation accessibility, and reduced travel time and transportation costs. The CTV News, December 16th, 2021, Toronto, have reported the operator of a self-driving shuttle bus was critically injured when it crashed into a tree in the area of Watson Street West and Victoria Street. The cause of the crash is unknown. The operator is still under life-threatening conditions in the hospital. And this is not the only reported accident associated with autonomous vehicle. All these accidents make us to think about the problems associated with autonomous vehicle. Two biggest weaknesses are safety and liability problems. Autonomous vehicles are built to reduce collisions done by human intervention. However, there are many safety concerns arise from them. First, for example, program errors. It is estimated that 90 to 95% of all automobile accidents are chiefly caused by human mistakes, and 99% of autonomous vehicle accidents are caused by human mistakes. There has no clear procedures as to date that can tell drivers when to take control over the vehicle and what they need to do when accidents happen. The second problem is program hacking. Hackers might breach the security of cars and their systems and cause substantial harm. Cars might be reprogrammed to deliberately crash, even on a massive scale. Since all the information will be stored in something like a control center for the autonomous vehicle, and then they can control all the vehicles at the same time, according to the article. The third problem is related to privacy issues. These autonomous cars collect massive amount of data every second they move, which is essential for evaluating their performance and improving their safety. On the other hand, such data may be very personal, tracking passengers' location and their behavior of the drivers. In order to use or drive the autonomous vehicle, from the point of starting the engine, the company that produces autonomous vehicle or the vehicle itself imply that the driver and or the passenger accept the terms and conditions of the car, so that the manufacturer will require access to such data. Autonomous vehicles generate data as they move from one location to another. This data may include observations of the individual inside the car. Moreover, observations can be used to evaluate whether or not a person should be allowed to drive the car. Imagine you and your friends are drinking at a party, and suddenly one of your friends hit his head on the table, which caused severe injuries. And you're in a sober condition, but definitely able to drive your friends to the hospital. But when you step into your autonomous car, the system won't let you to drive because they detect the alcohol in your body. But at the same time, your friend is bleeding so bad. In this case, perhaps you can only call an ambulance to get your friends to the hospital. The last problem is unavoidable accidents. You might think that autonomous vehicles are sole events, so how can they not avoiding an accident if they know that the accident is going to happen? I would like to explain this by using the trolley's problem and the philosophy behind it. So first, thinking about this scenario, you have this chance to pull the lever and change the route of the trolley, which causing you kill one person but save 5. Or, if you choose not to pull the lever, the trolley follows its original route, will result in you kill 5 people instead of 1. So what would you choose? How would our autonomous vehicle choose? In order to solve this problem rationally, we have to consider the philosophy behind it. In general, there are 2 views behind this problem, the celestial view and the organic view. The celestial view, including Plato, see morality as somehow out there, beyond mere human nature. They believed morality are external and objective. The philosopher Immanuel Kant argued that morality is simply what any fully rational agent would choose to do. Animals are not rational agents because they act from instinct rather than reasoning. He believed that gods and angels do not need moral rules because they aren't capable of wrongdoing. Morality is all about guiding rational agents who are capable of making mistakes. According to him, if robots can think for themselves and make reasoned choices, then all the rules will apply equally to them and to us. The celestial view is connected with the utilitarianism. Henry Sidgwick, as one of the utilitarians, he insisted that moral actions must be justified from the point of view of the universe. The idea is that an action can't be moral simply because it seems right to you or to me. It counts as moral only if it can be justified from some impersonal perspective, divorced from the concerns of any particular individual. This means figuring out what choices will maximize good outcomes for everyone. They suggest that artificial intelligence are at least morally like us or better than us. AIs can do the math based on maximizing the outcomes. In this case, celestials or utilitarians will respond to the trolley's question by pull the lever, kill that one person so that we can save the other 5, because 5 is greater than 1. The organic view, on the other hand, see morality as a feature of the particular nature of specific moral beings. They believe that morals are really just idealized aspect of human nature, so a person living morally is living the right sort of life for the type of entity that a human happens to be. The organic view allows that different entities have different moralities, and moral reflections is about taking our messy human nature and working to make it consistently justified to ourselves and to other people. In the 1940s, the science fiction author Isaac Asimov crafted the 3 laws of robotics to make robots useful to us well, while avoiding any danger they might pose. The first law is that a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Second, a robot obey the order given by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law, meaning that a robot must follow all the instructions given by the human except when the instructions involved harm to that individual or group. Thirdly, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law, meaning that a robot must protect itself except when it causes harm to human being or not obeying the instruction given by humans. On Asimov's account, we should design machines so that their entire existence is structured around serving and protecting us. Their nature would be supplementary to ours, and their morality, on the organic view, would be based on our interests. Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics are an example of deontological ethics. Deontology is an ethical theory that argues to determine whether an action is good or bad is based on rules and hierarchies. Rules that are ethical might not necessarily mean the action behind it is ethical. In this light, a follower of deontologism would agree that it is morally unacceptable to sacrifice 1 to save 5, because making the choice of having to kill someone is inherently wrong. Therefore, in sum, the largest distinction between utilitarianism and deontology is the consequence or the outcome of the event. Utilitarians make decisions based on positive outcomes, while deontologists make decisions based on ethics behind that action or behavior, regardless of the consequences of that decision. In the article Raising a Good Robot, written by Regina Rainey, who is an assistant professor and faculty fellow at New York University Center for Bioethics, argued that both celestial and organic view of making a good robot make sense, but they both have some problems. As for her, machines should be taught like our children. The simplest solution is to train them to think as we do. Train them to constantly simulate a human perspective, to value the things we value, to interact as we do. Do not allow them to teach themselves morality, but rather make sure to share our moral judgments. We have to be ready to accept that machines might eventually make moral decisions that none of us find acceptable. However, they should be able to provide an intelligible reasons for what they are doing. They have to be able to at least explain why they are doing that action, even if we don't necessarily agree. Rainey also compares machines as of our children. She proposed that the output of good parenting is not a child who perfectly copies their parents' belief, but who can reflect upon and explain what she believes to be right. I don't 100% agree with Rainey. I do think that machines can be like our children. For example, in some cases, like they're able to learn by themselves and comes up with different opinions than us. However, if robots are like our children and then they make mistakes, for example, killing someone, but they are able to give their reasons behind this action, even we have expectations of not understanding their reasoning, there is still something that has been left out. That is, in this case, who should be responsible for these kills? Should we blame the parents of not having good parenting skills? Or should we blame their children for not learning good things from their parents? Or should we blame the parents for not being a good parent at all? And for autonomous vehicles, we don't even know who is the parent. Is it the programmer or the person who used the vehicle or the vehicle itself, since it can learn by itself? At the same time, if we assume that they can be morally better than us, then why would they kill? Does it mean their killing is right? Also consider the fact that if they are human-like, and in reality we have bad people, we have good people, we can't say where does all the bad people comes from. There are a lot of factors that might affect an individual acting good or bad. For example, environmental factors, psychological factors, and also genetics. Family plays a huge impact on an individual's education, learning behavior, values, beliefs, moral codes, etc. Therefore, how can we make sure that all the machines or all the autonomous vehicles are morally correct based on their self-learning programs? Then, what should our autonomous vehicles do? Since autonomous vehicles are operating based on programs made by programmers, then it makes sense for us to think that autonomous vehicle will perform based on the programmer's moral code. Now, this leads to the question of how can we define the programmer's morality? There is individual differences for morality, also cultural factors that might influence an individual's moral code. Therefore, we might expect different cultures or different countries have different morals for autonomous vehicle. And therefore, autonomous vehicles in different places will perform differently according to the specific morality they have in that area. Then the moral code of the programmer might not be right to another individual or might not be right to another programmer. Then there's no universal answer that the autonomous vehicle can follow. But actually, what even is the right answer? There are still a lot of unsolved problems with autonomous vehicles. We are still in this transitional period between self-driving and manual driving. I'm really looking forward to see a fully autonomous vehicle in real life. Nevertheless, we cannot forget this unsolved philosophical, safety, and liability problems as we move to the next step of modern transportations. I hope you like this video, and more importantly, I hope you gain some knowledge of autonomous vehicles and the ethics of making good, intelligent machines. So let me know what you guys think about autonomous vehicles, and would you buy it if you have a chance? Feel free to share any comments down below, and thanks for your time and patience. Merry Christmas!